10 ounces of all-purpose flour. I'm just going to put it in a big bowl. So everyone's going to do this.
Yeah.
10 ounces of semolina flour. You can see how fine that is. That's a hard winter, like Durham-style wheat. How much salt? How much salt? 2 teaspoons. How do you know it's teaspoons? Because it has an S in there. Or sometimes they'll do lowercase t. Okay, if you put 2 tablespoons in there, which people do, I always like, well, enjoy that. So precision is important. Okay. Then you're going to whisk that together. So we have the time, so I want you to go slow and measure precisely before you mix it together. Double check each other. Like here, I think this is a teaspoon. You think it's a teaspoon? Like really, trust me, do that. Okay? And then when you're done, you'll put it back in one of these, label it, and set it over here. Okay, that's the dry part. The wet part, you're going to take how much milk? You have these things called feet. They're good. 2 tablespoons. How do you know that?
The big T.
Big T. Okay, big. That's important. So 2 tablespoons of milk. How much olive oil?
1 tablespoon.
How'd you know that?
Because I have a big T.
Big T. There we go. These are all learning helpful things for you. You'll be in there cooking with your kids like Big T. It's pretty fun. All right. So then, how much water?
3/4 of a cup.
Good. That you should be better on that one. Okay. So then you're going to whisk that together. And this, for those of you not making tortellini today, you're going to go here, and then you'll go in one of those small half-quart containers, label it, put it away, and then work clean. Okay. Now, on the day of the event, or I'm sorry, on prep day, you're going to start doing the rest of this. Tortellini, you're going to do this right now. Okay. 1 egg right inside there. When you crack, do it on a hard surface, not on an edge. You get less incidence of shell in your product. So I have 1 whole egg and 5 yolks. Okay. I don't want, we're not saving the whites. We don't really have a purpose for it. In a kitchen, if we were running an operation, we would use the whites in a preparation. If you want to take them home and put them in your hair, it's really good for your hair. You have awesome groomed hair. But I don't want them. Okay, you can make an egg white omelet if you want, but I'm going to show you how to separate them, and it's called the Spock technique. How many of you know Spock? A couple people?
Like that?
Yeah. Live long and prosper. You don't know? Old school. You know? So it's Spock. You're going to crack the egg, put it in your palm here, and you're going to let the white drip through your Spock hand, and then you can pinch it if you need to kind of break the white. Sometimes it'll cling on there, and then you'll get the yolk here, and the white will fall out. Okay. So you crack it in your hand, and you do that. Doesn't matter. See how it's hanging? And you can pinch, and it'll come right down. What's this white part called? It just fell. What's that called? Do you remember? Chalaza. That's like think of it like an umbilical cord. It connects to keeps it stable inside the shell. Okay, so crack it in your hand. Move it back and forth between your Spock hands. Let the white go through. Once it's down through, then you can kind of shake it and pinch. It'll come right off. And then put your yolk. Fun. It's very tactile. If it does break on you, which could happen, you can go. I'll try and break it. But you can just really quickly put it in there. If a little white gets in here, it's okay. A little bit. But don't put the whole white in there. It'll mess your recipe up. One group put 5 whole eggs in there and 1 yolk. What do you think happened? We saw them in the spring.
So what's the reasoning that you like egg and like this?
So if you crack it on here, more of the shell breaks off of the shell, and then it'll go in there.
Okay.
Versus, I learned that from Julia Child. I was like, wow, that's genius. I'm gonna wash my hands real quick. Okay. So now, dry ingredients, wet ingredients, whisk it all together. So again, tortellini, you're doing this part today. Everybody else, you're going to pick this up by adding the eggs into this on prep day, Tuesday, right? So whisk it very well to combine. And remember, stirring, whisking. Stirring, whisking. Okay, this. Now, we're down to this. Easy. Wet in a kit and a dry kit. We're going to go wet into dry. Normally you're going to go wet into dry with most of your, if you do this kind of stuff, pancakes, anything I do is wet into dry. That's kind of the general way to go. So this pasta is, traditionally this style is from Italy. How many of you have Italian ancestors? Okay, if you don't, we're going to make you, well, first go like this. So we're going to make a well in the dough, go like this. And then let's go, hey. Come on. Hey. So you're temporarily Italian. It lasts for about 30 minutes, and then you can make the dough. But this is why Italians do this, is so you can make pasta. That's why they do it. So you're going to make a well in the middle. And then you're going to pour all of the liquid in there. How much of the liquid? All of the liquid. I get questions all the time. Should I only pour half in there? No. $10,000 tool. And then you're going to take your whisk, and you're going to whisk this mixture, kind of lapping up the flour on the sides until the whisk becomes useless. So go like this, and you'll see it's kind of, picking up the sand. It's eroding the beach, just like California. Okay, so you see how it's picking up flour from the sides? Can you see it? It's picking up stuff on the side and then incorporating in. It's getting thicker. Yeah, it's getting thicker and thicker and thicker. And then it's getting much. It's kind of looking like a little crepe batter. Generally, yeah. Just in the beginning. And then once it becomes so thick that it's going to start sticking inside there, you want to stop before it gets too thick. And then tap it out. So then it's much easier to do it this way than if it's all stuck in there. So stop. And then you're going to switch from that whisk to this whisk. Okay? And then you're going to throw the flour on top. Work it, the dough together. It'll look like really crumbly. I think in what I've been reading and stuff, I guess traditionally it was just made that way, and then it kind of prevents dough from getting all over your hands. Was the main reason, what I gathered. But I can't imagine why you can't just go into it either if you really want to. But for this purpose, I want you to try it. Just try it this way. And then it'll look like crumbly like that, which is totally right. It's good. And then, once you're here, then you can go and bring everything out onto the table, on your prep table. And you're done with the bowl. Everything off your fingers. And then you're going to start pulling everything together. And every ounce counts. So make sure you incorporate everything into your dough. So this is just the incorporating part. We're not doing anything else yet. Bless you. Okay, so now our dough is combined. We have most everything in there. And what I want to show you now is there's no gluten development yet. Okay, it's just together. And watch what I can do with the dough. If I just pull it apart, it just rips, right? Once this dough is developed, if I pull it, it's just going to stretch. And there's a way you get there. And so now the important part is to knead. And kneading is what develops the gluten. There's gliadine and glutenine that come together, and you're kind of stretching and pulling them, making them go, and it's going to get harder and harder. You can feel how just soft that is, right? It's really just soft and open. Yes?
So people with gluten allergies, could they eat that and be okay right now?
No, no.
Okay.
No,
Just checking.
because that's in there no matter what.
Right.
It just develops it.
Okay.
So now the kneading action happens here at the heel of your hand. There's different ways to do it, but we're going to start just pushing it forward, pulling it back, and the stretch happens right here. So I'm going to push that forward, and you can see it kind of stretching as I move it forward. That's the knead. Okay? So it happens like right in front there, right here. You see that rolling out? So push and use your whole body to push it forward. The longer you do it, the tighter it's going to get. You'll feel it kind of start to bind up and get really tight, like a rubber ball. And this is the same technique for bread. And how long do we do this?
7 minutes.
7 minutes. You can do one hand, you can do two hands. But you really want to get a good stretch in there. Okay? All right, let's have somebody come up and try it. Anybody but Nick?
I will.
There you go.
So you just like.
Just get in there and just feel it. Once you,
Oh God.
it's tough, huh?
Yeah. What? Oh my God. Okay. It's not going anywhere. It's hard.
There you go.
Am I doing it right?
Yeah. Well, first just get in there and move it around. I mean,
Just like feel it.
Well, like just practice kneading as your brain thinks of it right now, and then I'll show you something. Just go for it. If it does, see how it just slid a little bit? If you pick it up for a second, just putting a little bit of water down will make it stick a little bit better. I've noticed that here in Flagstaff, it's really dry, so I always have this around for when you're doing dough. It's really important. Yeah, you got to get that good stretch in there.
It really does take your whole body.
Yeah, it's a workout. My Nana, my dad's side is Italian, and my Nana had she was like, you did not have that. Oh yeah, good. So the one thing I would say is it's less of a smearing across like that, and more of a, it happens right here. You're kind of pushing it forward to kind of get a stretch right there. So I'm trying to like pull it back and push forward. Try that.
Pull it back. That one?
Yeah, there you go. Yes, so you see how it's stretching like right up front there? That's what you want. And then you can turn it the other way, peel it back, yeah. Good.
Oh, okay, that's easier
Yeah.
that way too.
Yeah. Good. All right, let's get a couple other people in here. Nice work.
Thank you.
I'll wait here all day. I have
I'll
no
do it.
problem. Anybody but Nick.
Probably won't go well,
Get in there.
And that's just yeah, but they're gonna smell like pasta.
This smells like eggs a little bit, right?
Yeah, a little bit.
but.
Yeah, I'm watching it. And your body's got to get a little bit of a, just a feel. If you don't have any kind of way to measure it, the best thing is just jump in there and like make as many mistakes as you can. Because then you have something you can work with. Once you're like, that's not right, that's not right. It's kind of like a musical instrument. Like, just make some noise. Yeah, okay, better. Yeah. The one thing I would say is, as you're doing it, the stretch happens, so you're kind of pushing back and then loading and then pushing it forward so it stretches and it goes almost like a bulldozer.
Okay.
Then you pull it back and stretch right here. That's the stretch you want to get. So when you're doing it, it's like, so try and stretch it out. And it's getting really hard, isn't it?
Yep.
So yeah, keep going.
Oh, okay. I don't know where to start.
Unicorn juice is always good. Yep. Okay, yeah, and the only thing here, instead of just kind of like when you peel it back, push down and let this tighten up and then push that forward.
Okay.
Instead of pushing just straight down, kind of underneath and forward.
So like that.
Yeah, peel that whole thing back and then with your heel.
Okay. My hands are so small.
Just make macaronis.
Okay. Or pasta.
Yeah. All right, who else wants to try? Austin, get in here. Let's see what you got.
All right,
Come on.
put me in, coach.
Here's some unicorn juice.
I got one more spritz.
I knew this was gonna be a fun one.
Just spill it.
It's gonna be a good weekend. Too much left.
I like unicorn juice.
Yeah, we gotta find another one.
Yeah. Find on Amazon.
Unicorn sweat.
Ooh, okay. Yeah.
So the only thing is just turn it the other way when you're doing that. Like your closed end should be on the way out. So if you're going this way, see how that's nice and smooth back here?
Mhm.
And then you push down and forward. So see how it's rolling forward?
Mhm.
That's the stretch. There. 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 You don't need to go too far, you can just work it like that. All right. More hours.
So is it only 7 minutes like for this recipe, or is it?
7 minutes in general. If you're kneading constantly, is a good.
Okay.
Yep. You can over knead. You can do it too much, and then your gluten structure will break down, and your dough won't have any structure. It's not good either. So if you're doing biscuits or scones, which are the same thing, right? In England, we call biscuits, they call scones, and vice versa. But you don't want to do this, right? You don't want to do that because we want it to break apart and be nice and
What would
flaky.
it look like if you cooked it just like over?
Over kneaded.